I'm back! So let's talk about SpongeBob. If it wasn't clear from my personality, I adore SpongeBob. Years of nostalgia, quotable jokes, a vault full of memes because this show has a scene for everything, the works. And even among any and all bumps on the road, even if I don't like the show quite as much as I used to, I will never not have an undying respect for this series and this crew. That said, I don't like praising a series as amazing purely because of its golden era. Plus, no golden age of anything at all is perfect. Everybody knows that seasons 1 through 3 of SpongeBob SquarePants were widely considered to be the show at its peak. I agree and consider these seasons works of art, but how is it all in retrospect? That question is the one I'm here to answer today, starting with season 1. How, you ask? In 10 words or less, of course. I'm sure you've seen this reviewing style at this point. Every episode gets a review in no more than 10 words, a rating from 1 to 10, 1 being abysmal and 10 being nearly flawless, and at the end, I'll go over the true standouts and the bad ones if there are any. We good? We good. Alrighty, back up and don't forget the pickles. It's time for every episode of SpongeBob SquarePants Season 1 reviewed in 10 words or less. Let's dive in. And so begins SpongeBob's everlasting career. Nothing special, but it doesn't suck. If not for this episode, we wouldn't have this. It's a good episode. Only a fool would rip their pants on purpose. Can you give out too many 8s in a row? Nice lab, Plankton. Squidward is the best friend anyone could ever ask for. Behold, the 5 out of 10 of indifference! An icon for the ages. Imagine living in a food that messes with your tongue. Meeting your heroes is cool, but after they retire? SpongeBob vs. Bubble Bass is the best anime rivalry. Oh, the memes! Jokes aside, the music is a jam. Wait, that's a joke. Come on, guys, is it really that bad? Jellyfish, Evil Patrick, and that's about it. Perfectly acceptable. I hate this episode. Talent show? Talent show. Feel free to make some fun acronyms in the comments. My father's favorite episode. This isn't some joke for the rest of us, Squidward. Now you're doing the sponge. Now you're in hospital. Why did Squidward want the award so badly? And that was the only Halloween episode for 18 years. I hate neglectful pet owners. Squidward goes on an acid trip through space and time. Martial arts combined with culinary arts? Sign me up. Good, but what if it was a silent short film? Can refrigerators do that? You know what, I'll look it up. Oh god. Note to self, be afraid of Patrick. Very afraid. Paper! And it has so many uses. The episode that feeds into my love of pirates. A little overrated in my opinion, but still pretty good. No, seriously, what is the difference? And if not for this episode, we wouldn't have this. Squidward, I like you, but that was horrible. Patrick gets a face stain on his pants. Yanked by the butt by sharp objects to shore. Harsh. I don't remember this one well. That's probably my fault. And that should be everyone. So, in a season with a wider range of episode quality, the logical step after rapidly reviewing every episode is to do a top and bottom 3 episodes of the season. However, as you probably saw coming, this and the other 2 pre-movie seasons are very difficult to find any particularly bad ones in. If I had to make a bottom 3 episodes of season 1, it would probably go number 3, Nature Pants, number 2, Fools in April, and number 1, I Was a Teenage Gary. Nature Pants wasn't really bad, it just didn't have much going for it. I was just a little bored, there isn't much conflict, it's not all that funny, and on the whole, I find something that's at best watchable, but at worst nothing more than watchable. Fools in April is here because Squidward's prank is despicable to SpongeBob, even though SpongeBob was just having a bit of fun with no bad intentions. But in Squidward's defense, if someone is being annoying, they're being annoying. And he does at least learn his lesson in the end, so I can't bring myself to hate it. Lastly, Teenage Gary kinda had the same problems as Nature Pants, just kinda boring with not much else to offer, but has the added bonus of being pretty awkwardly weird instead of funny, with a side of questionable plot points. The snail plasma turning SpongeBob and Squidward into snails didn't really make a lot of sense, even if it was kinda creative. My least favorite part, though, was easily Squidward's negligence to Gary. Yes, SpongeBob and Squidward's friendship is mostly a one-sided love, and they don't show a lot of Squid ignoring Gary, but intentionally writing a character as a jerk is still writing a character as a jerk. Not to mention, if he just looked after Gary, Squid would have saved us a mediocre episode. Like I said, if a season warrants a full-on bottom 3, I'll do it. And if there is an episode in the first 3 seasons I actually hate, I'll review it in full. But if the lesser episodes are either not that bad or all bad in the exact same ways, I won't talk about them. I would repeat myself, thus I would get bored, thus you would get bored. Besides, that's enough negativity about this season regardless. We've done and dusted the duds, time for the top 3 now. Number 3 Best, Employee of the Month. This episode is one of the biggest riots of the season. Not necessarily the biggest, but that's still one heck of an accomplishment. I did find it kinda questionable as to why Squidward wanted the Employee of the Month award so badly as he did. And you can tell me in the comments if I missed the reason, but that's just a nitpick. Back onto the jokes, where to begin? The alarm clock joke was really fun, and not only shows off both SpongeBob and Squidward's motives and superstition, but even their personalities as well. Spongy is ready to show off his preparedness with at least 100 clocks to spare so he wakes up on time, showing that he is, and always will be, ready. And Squidward, ready to smash them all to bits, showcases that he has no time for this and won't let Spongy get in the way of his award. The scene where they chase each other to the crab is creative and entertaining. Seeing all the ways the two trap and trick each other on the way there is just inventive. The ending with Sponge and Squid showing themselves off to crabs is enjoyable and perfectly accurate in terms of a representation of a passive-aggressive friendly competition. It'd also be a crime not to mention how much I see myself in SpongeBob's shoes. When you're known as the guy with the good reputation among everyone else, you always feel a need to keep it up. There's an ever-growing pressure when you consider, what if I don't pull it off? And the fact that we don't see who wins in the end is ironically the most satisfying possible outcome. Looking at it how I see it, it's a lesson that pestering someone into getting what you want, in this case Mr. Krabs, is not a good or effective way of getting it. 9.5 times out of 10, it only annoys that person. Take note, every annoying little cousin in the world. All this in a vacuum, and what more could you want? The laughs, the lesson, the relatability, all culminates in a strong contender for episode of the month. Number 2 Best. Arg! It's time to get into a case of a hobby becoming an obsession. With what, you ask? Pirates, of course. That said, are we talking about Mr. Krabs or me? Yeah, I was that kid. I like pirates. Still do. It was a bit of a phase when I was little, so naturally I adored this episode. After getting obsessed with the treasure hunt board game SpongeBob and Patrick are playing, Krabs puts himself and Sponge and Pat on a real pirate adventure, and honestly the rest is history. I don't even feel like summarizing the plot, it's just a fun pirate adventure. Not much else, but unlike episodes like Nature Pants where there just wasn't much of substance to offer in addition to the simple concept, this episode has, and you may start to notice a theme, comedy baby! There are quotes I like such as, Mr. Krabs! I wanna go to bed! I like the singing chorus, the Weast joke is legendary and has stuck with me like you wouldn't believe. I just love the comedy so much that it makes me all sweaty again. If you like pirate stuff, you'll have a field day with this thing. The scene where the characters find the treasure is also a great conclusion. Spongy saying one for all and Mr. K saying all for one again displays personality and motivations. And as much as we all kind of slightly gas up these first 3 seasons to where we gloss over anything potentially meh or bad, this show was still finding its groove in the classic era. Don't get me wrong, this show did a phenomenal job at establishing its characters and tone, but that's my point. You could argue that this show always knew what it wanted to be, but it really didn't. There was a load of classic episodes that butchered the characters and all that sort of thing, but Season 1 wasn't nearly the biggest offender of this. This show really did an excellent job at making people fall in love with it back when it started, and it's episodes that I use to remember why I like this series. I really did just overanalyze this funny and wacky pirate adventure, didn't I? And the number 1 best episode of SpongeBob SquarePants Season 1 is Pizza Delivery. Yes, it's better than Bang Geeks Fight Me. This is without a question my favorite episode of the entire series. I will hear no argument, hands down, bar none, full stop. I already loved this episode to death as a little kid, because, you know, I love pizza, but over the years, this episode stayed locked as my favorite, and I doubt that will ever change. This is a timelessly funny, beautifully written masterclass of animated television. I'm sure you all know how this one goes, but just in case, Squid and Sponge are tasked to deliver a pizza. Also, Krabs can apparently mash a handful of patties into a pizza? Freaking sorcerer. Eventually, the dynamic duo end up lost after everything that can go wrong does. The big draw of the episode is the team-up between Spongy and Squidward. The opposites bouncing off each other makes this episode some of the most fun I've had with a television series. One being a lovable goofy goober who's charismatically dedicated, and the other being cynical and doubtful, and only getting grumpier as their domino chain of bad luck goes on. It's been done before, but the episode has so much dang fun with it. The gimmick can be labeled as cartoony, and yeah, this is a cartoon, but it's a surprisingly accurate portrayal of two incredibly different guys working together. Like a lot of this season, the comedy is golden. From Squid transitioning from telling SpongeBob, "Let go of the pizza," to "Hang on to the pizza," as they get stuck into a tornado, SpongeBob using the pizza as a parachute, the pair hitching a ride from a rock, it's all there, and I wholeheartedly love what I watch. Also, do I even need to mention the Krusty Krab pizza song? It's catchy, iconic, charmingly silly. What can I say about it that anyone else hasn't already? A highlight of this amazing ep. And finally, an aspect I'd honestly feel guilty not to talk about is the ending. They finally arrive at the Orderer's house, and he's upset at them for forgetting the drink. In the guy's defense, I would be mad too, but Spongy is upset that they failed after everything. Or so this guy is making him feel. Spongy is absolutely defeated, and all he can do is sob until he deflates. And frankly, it's heartbreaking. And you know what? Squidward, the guy who never wanted to be stuck with SpongeBob, can't stand to see him like this. He approaches the customer and makes him pay twice the price of his Diet Dr. Kelp by shoving the whole pizza down his gullet, ensuring that he's fed up with his pizza because they're fed up with his crap. I love this with all my heart. This is not only a showcase of development on Squidward's part, but an impeccable example of how optimism rubs off on the next guy. To be fair, Squidward would have done this to the customer if he did it alone or with a teammate, just because it would have been a grueling task either way. But no, he does it because he doesn't want to see his annoying coworker in that much pain. It ultimately goes to show how far you can go when you have that optimistic spirit, even when you're just around that kind of person. Smiles are contagious too. Yes, this was executed in a humorous manner. Am I channeling my overly analytical English teacher and looking too far into this? Am I gassing this up? Yes. But this is my opinion, and my opinion is that these are incredible characters I care about to my very soul, in a well-made world I will keep coming back to, even though there are undeniable bumps and rocks along the way. It's no wonder this show has gone on for so many years, and even though there sure as heck are moments where I want to keep myself as far away from the show as possible, I will defend what this crew created until the day I die. And I can't thank episodes like this one enough for sticking with me to an immeasurable extent over the years. Just in case you haven't figured it out yet, Pizza Delivery is not only my absolute favorite episode of the entire show, but it goes without saying that it is my favorite episode of Season 1. That's all there is on this list. The comments are open to tell me your own opinion, because I know a few of you probably disagree with me. So please, tell me what you think. Consider giving a like and subscribe, and I'll cover Season 2 and onward when I feel like it. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.